Moments ago, the January 6th committee released more testimony and evidence about the internal debate that went on at the White House over what President Trump would say and, we're learning, would not say in his remarks the day after the siege on the Capitol. CNN's Melanie Zanona is live on Capitol Hill with this. Melanie, what are you learning?
Well, in a sign of just how much information the Select Committee has gathered, the committee has released new video clips that had to be left on the cutting room floor from last week's hearing. And this new deposition footage, which features Trump aides and Trump allies, focuses on the Rose Garden speech that Trump gave on January 7th. We already knew that Trump really struggled with that speech. He had struggled to condemn the violence. He had wanted to continue his lies about the 2020 election. And we are now learning that Trump actually scratched off a number of key lines from that initial draft speech. Take a listen to what else Trump was willing to say and not say during that attack, of the day after the attack on the Capitol.
In my view, he needed to express very clearly that the people who committed violent acts, went into the Capitol, did what they did, should be prosecuted and should be arrested.
It looks like here that he crossed out that he was directing the Department of Justice to ensure all lawbreakers are prosecuted to the full extent of the law. We must send a clear message, not with mercy, but with justice. Legal consequences must be swift and firm. Do you know why he wanted that crossed out?
I don't know.
Now, the committee is planning additional hearings in September. Committee members say they are going to spend the next month pursuing new leads and talking to additional witnesses. And one outstanding issue is whether to subpoena Ginny Thomas, the wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, who was emailing Trump allies about overturning the election. Liz Cheney, the vice chair of the committee, told our Jake Tapper yesterday that the committee is absolutely prepared to go that route if Ginny Thomas does not come in voluntarily. So August is shaping up to be a very busy month for the Select Committee.
The way that Elaine Luria, one of the committee members, put it this weekend is that the floodgates have now opened since they started this investigation. They specifically started with their hearings, and that they're getting so many more witnesses coming forward to testify. Where does this all go from here after what we've learned with that, especially in the big last hearing? We know there's more coming. Where do you see it going?
Well, I think what's been so interesting about these hearings is that it hasn't been about the members of Congress.
That's right.
It's been about the evidence that they've disclosed, particularly the video evidence of people's depositions. You know, at first it seemed like it was important to get people to testify live. I think what they've realized is that it's actually better to have people on video because it can be edited and controlled better by the committee. And I think we'll see more of that. There are a lot of avenues open to the committee. They say that people have come out of the woodwork to testify and cooperate because of the quality of the hearings. I don't know in which area, but there's a lot there, and there'll be more hearings in September.
Today, the panel also making clear it has no intent of being quiet while it does its work. This is a new video from the committee showing how very reluctant Donald Trump was to speak out the day after the insurrection.
Do you recognize the handwriting?
It looks like my father's handwriting.
It looks like here that he crossed out that he was directing the Department of Justice to ensure all lawbreakers are prosecuted to the full extent of the law. We must send a clear message, not with mercy, but with justice. Legal consequences must be swift and firm. Do you know why he wanted that crossed out?
I don't know.
Was the implication that the president was in some ways reluctant to give that speech?
Yeah. Let's get straight up to Capitol Hill and CNN's Ryan Nobles. Ryan, the committee there saying we might be doing a lot of things behind the scene, but a little in your face to Donald Trump.
Yeah, and I think what this also demonstrates, John, is just how much they left on the table ahead of that hearing on Thursday. I'm told that their original plan, when they went through their first rehearsal, the hearing could have lasted as long as 4 hours, and they knew that just wasn't palatable for a primetime audience, so they pared it back, cutting out almost half of what they had planned, and that video that we saw this morning is a part of it. And it's important to point out the point that they're trying to make here about Donald Trump's motivation on January 7th, the day after the riot took place up here at the Capitol. Listen to what his counsel, the White House counsel, Pat Cipollone, had to say about it.
He needed to express very clearly that the people who committed violent acts, went into the Capitol, did what they did, should be prosecuted and should be arrested. That needed to be stated forcefully. They did not represent him or his political views in any form or fashion.
And so the question now is, where does the committee go next? They've hinted that they want to reach out to more of the members of the Trump cabinet who were in and around the White House around January 6th, what their motivations were either for staying or going. We know that many of them did resign in the wake of January 6th. And then there is, of course, the question of Ginny Thomas. We know that she was in contact with people like Mark Meadows and John Eastman, the conservative lawyer. What the committee's wrestling with right now is just how involved she actually was in the attempts to stand in the way of the certification of the election, and then whether or not her husband was involved in that. I think at this point the committee is not ready to make that declaration or take it that far, and they do have a whole host of other things that they're concerned about that may be just a bit of a bigger priority than Ginny Thomas right now. But John, as we've seen from the very beginning of this investigation, they will go wherever it leads. If it ends up with Ginny Thomas, they are not afraid to go there.